This past summer, I had the opportunity to build a side table that I've been thinking about building for a long time, and I actually just stumbled upon the video footage of the build, which I had no idea that I actually took, and decided to publish this project on YouTube. So today I'm going to show you how I built one of my favorite builds ever, a wood-carved side table. As with all of my projects, you can find the full details on this build along with a materials list by clicking on the link below this video. The first step in this project was to measure and cut the main pieces for the build, and I started by measuring and cutting 4 legs out of 2x2 boards. If you're looking to eventually build a table just like the one I'm showing you in this video, you can find a full cut list on my website as well as printable PDF plans that you can print out and take with you to your workshop or on a shopping spree at your local home store. However you do your build, I am there with you, guiding you along the way if you choose to print out the plans that I created for this table. After cutting my legs, I used 1x8 boards to cut out 2 short side pieces, 1 long back piece, a bottom piece for the side table, and I also kept a piece aside for a drawer front, which I'll show you later. The top of the table was built using a 1x12 board, and that will be later on as well. After cutting the main pieces for the build, I just set up my pocket hole jig to create pocket holes in each of the boards. And I pretty much use pocket hole joinery throughout the entire build. And if you print out my plans, you can see exactly where I placed those pocket holes in this build. But essentially, I just added pocket holes to both sides of the side panels and the back panel to connect them to the legs. And I also included pocket holes on the bottom panel on both sides and the side that will be connecting the bottom panel to the back panel. It does sound like a lot of pocket holes, so I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. Once all of my pocket holes were drilled, I used wood glue and screws to attach the side panels to the legs. And as you can see here, I used a spacer board so that the inside of the panel lined up perfectly with the inside of the legs. One other thing that I tried and failed at the first couple of times, if you can see that there are some pre-drilled holes in the legs, that's because I messed up. But what I found was by adding the side panels to the legs first, I was really able to maneuver my drill very well. So I recommend doing that first if you're building anything tight like this small side table, and then attach the back panel after the side panels are already in place. One of the other things I didn't get a chance to show in the footage, and I don't know why, is that I kept a speed square handy to make sure that everything was nice and square and flush before moving on to any other part of the build. Once the side panels and the back panel were in place, I attached the bottom panel directly to the sides and the back using pocket hole screws and wood glue. I made sure to keep the screws on the inside of the build so that they're hidden by the drawer leader. Once the major part of the build was done, I used 1x6 boards to create a drawer box for the side table. And I just drilled pocket holes into the ends of the 2 longest pieces, and these are going to be hidden by the back of the side table as well as the drawer front itself. I then assembled the drawer box the same way I assembled the build, just using wood glue and screws. Once the drawer box was assembled, I cut a piece of 1/4-inch plywood to fit the bottom of the box and attached it using wood glue and brad nails. Next, it was time to install the drawer slides, so I used a spacer piece to make sure that both of the slides were exactly the distance they needed to be from the bottom of the box. I then installed them using screws and a drill. I got a chance to use my Craig drawer slide mounting jig for this build, and I attached it to the leg of the side table and then rested the drawer box right on top. All I had to do was then screw the slides into the drawer box, and the drawer box was perfectly spaced inside of the side table. Next came the fun part. I got my hands on a CNC machine a while back and wanted to use it to create a fun design on the front of this drawer. I could have used a plunge router and a V-bit to do this by hand, but using the CNC machine really saved me a lot of time on this build. Basically, I just uploaded the design that I wanted into Easel, which is the software that came with the CNC machine, and the CNC machine just went ahead and cut everything out. Now, there are definitely way cooler projects I could have used the CNC machine for, but I was just getting started with it and wanted to do something fun and easy, so this was my first attempt at using it, and it was actually a lot simpler to set up and to use than I thought it would be. In all honesty, you could make this build without carving anything into the front drawer, or you could paint a design as well and it would probably have the same impact, but I really wanted an excuse to carve something into a really simple piece of furniture, so I did it. Once my design was cut out, I just used my miter saw to trim the drawer front down to size. I then installed it to the drawer box using clamps and attached it using screws through the back. After the drawer front was installed, I measured and cut my 1x12 piece into the top of the side table. I then attached it to the table using wood glue and pin nails. Once everything was assembled, I used wood putty to fill in any imperfections and sanded the table down to 220 grit. I really wanted to give this build an old world and handmade look, even though it was made with machinery, so I used an aged wood accelerator from Varathane, and instead of it being a stain, it's actually an accelerator that reacts with the tannins in the wood to create a natural grayish or brownish color. I basically just applied this accelerator using a paintbrush and allowed it to sit for about 30 minutes until the color changed to something that I was really happy with. Once the table was dry, the last step was to add the knob to the front of the drawer. What I keep coming back to in this build is that it is essentially a pretty basic side table build, but because it has the carving on the front, it makes the piece look really unique and more sophisticated than it actually is. If you like this build and want to check out some more of my projects, be sure to visit my website at DIYHuntress.com and also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more projects in the future. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching and happy DIYing.